Project Bluebeam was a plan that had been designed to usher humanity into their new world. In order to reach their new world, there were 4 key objectives that had to be achieved. Firstly, the different faiths had to be abolished, and a world religion that was based upon the cult of man and the number of the beast would be created and intensely promoted by the mainstream media. Secondly, all national identities were to be removed so that the world government could easily take control. Thirdly, the marital fidelity and family model of today was to be steadily phased out so that the new family identities could be easily controlled by the world government, and all kinds of family affairs would therefore be managed under a totalitarian control system. And fourthly, all individual artistic and scientific works were to be suppressed and deviated, and then replaced with authorized kinds of artistry and sciences. Once these steps were brought into play, then natural disasters would seemingly take place in various geographic locations and be used to reveal facts about the true history of planet Earth that had been suppressed for many aeons, so that the faiths of the world could be entirely discredited. Complete social upheaval would occur because the perception of God that many individuals had would change as they had accepted the version of reality which had been presented to them. A breakdown of traditional belief systems and the human psyche would therefore become very widespread. With the psychological conditioning already having been completed because of how cultural creation and predictive programming are used consistently in films and television, most people had been prepared for a long time so they would accept the satanic agenda. Many had just watched the movie screens and continued to be spectators who would never become aware of the circus show that was being performed behind the scenes. A horror show that most could never truly comprehend. Project Bluebeam then performed an enormous cosmic show of trickery where 3-dimensional holograms were projected by using lasers. Yes, it was a science fiction film in real time in the skies above the planet Earth. Most UFO sightings that had been reported were really artificially generated, as they had been produced by using the Project Bluebeam technology. Such plans have been hidden from the public for a very long time. The secrecy was disturbing, as no one actually knew the truth. But how else were they going to covertly link the breakaway civilization to the overall control grid of planet Earth? They had been developing their plan for well over 70 years and had created a massive inversion of physical reality, so the beliefs of many individuals could be easily reprogrammed. Another aspect of Project Bluebeam was to merge all the religious teachings into one, so that only the satanic overlords could then speak to them. People could hear their version of God in every language and culture, as the demonic holograms spoke from the skies, which people believed was some kind of divine sign from the heavens, when the deception was actually being projected from the satellite transmissions themselves. Individuals heard voices in their heads as they beamed signals from the orbiting satellites that had been repeatedly stored and encrypted from the vast quantities of social media data that had been gathered for many years. After the fake alien invasion had been shown and the holographic projections had passed, advanced sciences were introduced and various types of free energy systems were displayed. They had been retrieved from crashed UFOs, which the seemingly heroic nations had destroyed to save humanity. But besides the scientific endeavors, there was also occult technology. that was used to control the masses, as so many feared that another attack from the negatively based extraterrestrials would occur once again in the near future. Their plan was coming to completion, and the new world of occult technology had quickly formed, but they did not understand the power of other forces that were at work. Although they had their satanic agenda and intended to control every living thing on planet Earth, their plans would eventually fail. There were other levels at work that were not from the physical world and resonated far beyond linear space-time, in domains where the thoughts and influences of the satanic overlords had no effect. Because much higher vibrations were arising from humanity as they were starting to spiritually and psychologically develop, their plan could only last for a limited time until the last hurdle had been reached. After this occurred, all the contributors to the satanic agenda would fade into complete insignificance. Then humanity would leave behind their older traumatic worldview.
No more. Not. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you stopped. I didn't like that very much. I guess I'll go get some sleep, and I'll think about maybe telling you something tomorrow. And if we are to believe that it was indeed the waterboarding that broke him, then why would he bother telling his interpreter that Allah had visited him in his cell during the night and told him to cooperate? His interrogator knew he was waterboarded. He wasn't going to save any face with his interrogator. Remember, they broke him the day before, and they didn't get any information out of a quote-unquote broken man until the next day, after he claimed Allah came to him in his cell and told him to cooperate. I'm not making this up. Watch for yourself. Pay attention to the body language. You decide for yourself if this makes any logical sense.
One of the techniques.
Waterboarding was one of the techniques, yes.
And was it used on Zebeda?
It was.
And was it successful?
It was.
What happened as a result of that?
He resisted. He was able to withstand the waterboarding for quite some time, and by that I mean probably 30, 35 seconds.
That's quite some time.
Which was quite some time. And a short time afterwards, in the next day or so, he told his interrogator that Allah had visited him in his cell during the night and told him to cooperate because his cooperation would make it easier on the other brothers who had been captured. And from that day on, he answered every question just like I'm sitting here speaking to you.
In a willing way?
In a willing way.
So in your view, the waterboarding broke him?
I think it did, yes.
And after watching that, I can only come to one conclusion. This man was not waterboarded. If he was waterboarded, he was not broken during the waterboarding. He was broken through a psyop. If he was broken from the torture, he would have spilled the information right then and there. I think what you're seeing here is an experimental use of cutting-edge holographic technology to see if people will buy it, to see if it's believable. And just in case I'm right, I have to do what I'm about to do. In the Bible, Jesus was very clear about what his return would be like. In Matthew 24, his disciples asked him point blank, "What is the end of the world going to be like?" And starting in verse 4, Jesus answered them, "Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." So he warns us, don't be fooled. And then again in verses 23 through 26 we read, "Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. We were warned repeatedly that others would come using Jesus' name. We were specifically warned to look out for false prophets and great signs and wonders. I, for one, can't imagine a greater sign and wonder than a false rapture meant to crush and demoralize the Christian community while indoctrinating the rest of the world into the Antichrist religious system. Satan's had an awfully long time to plan out this end times deception. I personally feel it would be a grave and dangerous mistake for any Christian to underestimate the cunning nature and deceptive power of the serpent.